Biodiversity is the variety of life on Earth in all its forms and interactions. It is the most complex feature of our planet and the most important. It's thought to comprise of several levels, starting with genes, then individual species, to communities of creatures, to entire ecosystems like coral reefs or forests. 55% of the world's population now lives in urban areas isolated from nature, and because of this, we don't often appreciate the essential ways it sustains our world. For biodiversity isn't just something nice to have. It underpins life as we know it, including the air that we breathe, the food we eat, and the water we drink. Some examples are clear. Without plants, there would be no oxygen for us to breathe. And without bees, over 1/3 of everything we eat would disappear. Coral reefs and coastal mangroves provide vital protection from cyclones and tsunamis for people living on the coast and shield our precious infrastructure from collapse, while the trees absorb our air pollution. Other benefits are less obvious. Trees are of course a crucial component in our fight against climate change and absorb as much as 1/4 of the air pollution we release into our atmosphere from burning fossil fuels. But in order for forests and jungles to grow, many rely on their special evolutionary relationship with animals. Take tropical tortoises or spider monkeys for example. The dense hardwood trees that are so effective in removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere rely on their seeds being dispersed by these large fruit eaters. The incredible richness of life's diversity continuously provides us with new medicines. The recent discovery of a fungi that grows on the fur of sloths, which could be a crucial new ally in our fight against cancer, is one such example. This is all but a slice of the astonishing benefits biodiversity provides us with, for it is our life support system. If money is our measure of importance, though it shouldn't be, the services provided by ecosystems are worth trillions of dollars, at roughly double the world's GDP. Life on Earth is mind-bogglingly diverse. Roughly 1.7 million species of plants, animals, and fungi have been recorded, but there are likely 8 to 9 million, with some estimates ranging up to 100 million. Recent research looking at biodiversity at a genetic level has suggested that creatures thought to be a single species could actually be dozens. If we add bacteria and viruses to this mix, the number of distinct organisms could actually be in the billions. The concern here is that countless species are being lost before we are even aware of them or the role they play in the circle of life. In just 15 hectares of Borneo forest, there are 700 species of tree. That's the same number as the whole of North America. Yet 1/3 of this forest has been cut down in the last 30 years. Right now, life on Earth is under assault. Current loss of biodiversity is so dire that scientists say a 6th mass extinction event is underway, as the extinction rate of species happens 1,000 times faster than the traditional background rate. We are now living in a new ecological era, known as the Anthropocene, the age of humans. Billions of individual populations of creatures have been lost across the globe already. The Living Planet Index, released by the World Wildlife Fund, collected data on 16,704 populations of mammals, birds, fish, reptiles, and amphibians, representing more than 4,000 species. The report concluded that between 1970 and 2014, populations of animals have plummeted by 60% on average. Let's take a closer look at two of the most charismatic mammal species known to humans, tigers and elephants. Tiger numbers have plunged by 97% in the last century, and elephants have diminished some 62% in the last 10 years alone. In our oceans, the situation is no better. More than 2.5 billion people depend on seafood as their protein supply. But rampant overfishing has caused catches to fall steadily since a peak point in 1996, at a rate of 1.2 million tons a year. More than 50% of the ocean is now industrially fished, and the consequences for marine life are devastating. In the last 3 months alone, thousands of mutilated dolphins have washed ashore on France's Atlantic coast. Their injuries are thought to be sustained from fishing trawlers catching sea bass nearby.
A number of 1,100 dolphins that have been found dead on the French shore, and over 90% of them have been killed by fishing vessels. This number is a record, the highest number since the past 40 years. But we've seen an increase in this bycatch for the past 3 years. And right now it's such an alarming rate that the scientists estimate that it can drive the dolphin population to extinction.
Bycatch from industrial fishing could amount to 40% of global marine catches. This catastrophic loss of biodiversity we are seeing is also befalling insects, the most abundant and diverse creatures on Earth. More than 95% of known species are invertebrate, and they outweigh humanity some 17 times. They are at the base of the food chain, and many species depend on them for survival. Think of the food chain as a house of cards. If you remove one card too many, the entire house can come tumbling down. Recent research from the rainforests of Puerto Rico reported biomass losses between 98% and 78% for ground foraging and canopy-dwelling insects in a little over 35 years. As a result, parallel declines in birds, amphibians, and lizards were also recorded. And 2 months ago, the results from the world's first global review of insect populations was released. They concluded that more than 40% of species are declining and a third are endangered, making their rate of extinction 8 times faster than that of mammals, birds, and reptiles. This review is still an average, but highlights a very concerning trend, and more research is urgently needed to get a better picture of their populations worldwide. So what is destroying all of this life? Well, we are. The largest cause of wildlife loss is the destruction of natural habitats, much of which is used to create farmland to graze and feed livestock. By weight, 97% of the world's vertebrate land animals are humans or their livestock. Just 3% are thought to be wild. Poaching and unsustainable hunting for food is another major factor. And current estimates are that more than 300 mammal species, from chimpanzees to hippos to bats, are being eaten into extinction. Insect loss is mostly attributable to pesticide and fertilizer use, but climate change is a significant factor in their depreciation and future declines. Global trade now makes it easier for invasive species and disease to spread between countries, which can have adverse effects on local wildlife. For example, dramatic declines in more than 500 amphibian species have been discovered recently by a fungal disease thought to be spread by the pet trade. The worst affected regions of biodiversity loss are South and Central America, which have seen an 89% drop in invertebrate populations, largely driven by deforestation of wildlife-rich jungle. An area the size of Greater London is destroyed every 2 months in the tropical savanna known as the Cerrado in the Amazon biome alone. So the only question that remains is, what can be done? Can we do anything to help? Well, most of the wildlife being destroyed is by land being cleared for cattle, soy, palm oil, timber, and leather. And most of us consume these products every day, with palm oil being a ubiquitous ingredient in many foods and toiletries. Checking the label and choosing only sustainable options can help here. Eating less meat is another crucial factor, as much deforestation in the world is being driven by ever-expanding agriculture, producing soy, which is being exported to wealthy countries to feed our farm animals like our pigs and our chickens. However, beef in particular should be our first priority to cut down on, as it has an extremely outsized environmental footprint. Right now, an international team of scientists are pushing for a global deal for nature, which will act just like the Paris Climate Accord for climate change. The deal calls for 30% of the planet to be protected by 2030, with an additional 20% to be maintained or restored to a natural state and designated as climate stabilization areas. The key to making all of this happen will be a major UN summit in China, set for October 2020, where governments will establish new global targets to protect nature. Just imagine the beauty of our world if we restore half of the planet to a natural state and sustainably manage all lands and oceans. The result is a planet where humanity and nature have a chance to flourish, even as global temperatures rise. Our forests could return and clean our air. Our oceans could have a chance to regain their glory. And the precious web of life evolution has so expertly crafted over hundreds of millions of years could be clasped back from the jaws of calamity. What a feat this would be. Alright, what up guys? Welcome to sunny Ireland. I just wanted to send a quick message your way saying that I hope you enjoyed watching the video as much as I did making it, and I hope you really got something out of it and can use it as a conversation starter with your friends or your family or what have you. I feel like these conversations need to be had a lot more. I'm sure you feel the same way after watching that video. And yeah, look, it's not all going to be doom and gloom on this channel. you know, talking about climate change and what's happening with our world, it's pretty serious, let's face it. So, but there are lots of positive things happening in our world, and we'll be taking a deep dive into all of those things as well. So subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one, all right? Breathe.